So, deeper relationships and deeper meaning. What about spirituality? Do you see these exercises working in some sort of spiritual direction, or what do you have to say about
Well,
that?
when I talk about something like spirituality, the word itself is already a loaded word, meaning people already have concepts behind what is spiritual. But when I'm working with people who've experienced trauma, some of them are atheists or agnostics, and so they don't identify at all with the word spirituality. So I use a phrase which is more expansive conceptually about belief systems. So even an atheist or an agnostic has some way of understanding how they fit on the planet. They believe something. And in traumatic events, even those belief systems can be shattered or fractured in some way so that the person becomes confused. What I've discovered is that it seems to be very important that not only the person recover from trauma in terms of the neurological patterns in the brain or the psychological relationship pattern or even their physical structure, but they actually have to restore or maybe rebuild a new sense of how they understand themselves on the planet. And after traumatic events, that belief system that needs to be restored generally tends to now include that they're vulnerable people. Before they thought they were invincible, maybe, that they couldn't be traumatized. Now they discover they can be. And so they have to build a new belief system that includes I'm vulnerable on the planet, I'm susceptible to traumatic events, that I'm not necessarily safe or in control of my life. Anything could happen to me at any moment. And so that expands my belief system into accepting that I'm just a living organism on the planet that could experience traumas at any time in my life. So the way that expands into belief system is that many people have a very strong shift in their belief system after a traumatic event. Some people believe more strongly. Some people may be driven towards religion or spirituality or, if you will, God or higher power. And some people may be driven away from it because they had a belief system that included God before the trauma. Then they feel betrayed, and so then they leave that belief system because they no longer believe in God. But no matter what they're doing, no matter what transition they're making, they are asking a question about something deeper about humanity and life. And it's important to follow them in that because just as they're restoring a sense of comfort and safety in their body, they're restoring a sense of comfort and safety in the way they think or the way they feel, they also are restoring some sense of safety in how they believe about their future, which is their belief system and an expansion of consciousness. What I have found is that the more the person can restore this safety and comfort and feel more relaxed in their body, the more relaxed they are in their psyche, the more relaxed and expansive they seem to be also in a belief system. They seem to now be able to embrace life at a bigger level. They seem to be able to embrace it more compassionately because now they know what suffering is like, and they seem to have a greater compassion for others who suffer.
So, would you say that the amount of trauma that we carry in our bodies would create our belief system or the way that we believe in God?
Well, our belief systems are made up of many different things. They're made up of our family values, what we learned as children. If we did go to church or synagogue or mosque or whatever as children, if our parents introduced us to a religion, our own personal experiences, our experience in school as children, all of those things tell us what's the world like? What do I believe about the world? How should I think about the world? And how do I find my place in the world? What happens is the more traumatic experiences you may have, the more input you're getting that the world is potentially dangerous. So you build a bigger belief system that includes a bigger piece of danger. The more relaxed a person is in life, the more protected, the safer they are, the more they build a belief system that life is good and life is safe and life is pleasant. If you have to work very hard to make money, you end up expanding a belief system about a work ethic very hard. If your parents are wealthy and they give you lots of money and you get to play and enjoy life easier, you end up with a belief system that life is fun and playful. So all of our experiences in life is what makes up our belief system. But what's interesting about it is all of that belief system could be completely shattered in one moment of a severe traumatic event. And once that gets shattered, then there becomes a whole reorganizing and restructuring of a new belief system that has to include that traumatic event.
Mm-hmm. So people who are fundamentalist, and that's, very general, it's all kind of religions that you can, and cultures, you can
Mm-hmm.
become fundamentalist. Would you say something about that and trauma?
Well, when we talk about fundamentalism, we're talking about a very ardent, strong belief in a belief system, and that people insist that it is important that others embrace their belief system. And if they don't, then they are somehow outside of, they are shunned or pushed away as not being right or good, because they don't belong to the belief system that we belong in. So you can find this in every religion. You can even just find this in cultures. If you don't believe our way, then you no longer belong to our culture or our society or our organization, etc. So belief systems are manifested on many levels. What can happen when a person has traumatic events in their life is that just as the trauma has intensified the lack of safety in the body, the amount of tension in the body, and could have intensified the psyche of the individual, where they now are being very careful and trying to keep themselves secure and safe because that traumatic event was so frightening for them. The belief system can get caught up in that as well. So just as the person becomes even more contracted and more determined to have a belief system, the energy around that traumatic event forces the belief system to become even more tight and more severe and more radical, if you will, so that the point where they're actually shouting out to people something about, you must believe in love, but their message is being given with anger or resentment or hatred. So when you see that paradox or the conflict that the person says, I believe in love, but they're saying it out of anger or contraction, then you know there has to be something else that's motivating the belief system than just love itself.